May 26, 2024. That's when this started. I remember because I went to House on the Rock with a friend of mine, and I was really off that whole day because of what happened before I even met up with him. Basically, I do this thing where I have a little meditation that I've done for years, right? It's always in my head. I've never written it down. I have now, but I didn't at that time. It's just something that I've added on to over the years and heard little bits and pieces and just kind of rolled with it for years. Well, that morning I had this experience. I don't know how to explain it exactly. I was laying down. I hadn't gotten up for the day, and I was doing a meditation. The meditation, like usually I wake up and I lay in bed just to kind of get going for the day, but I'm already like in that nice, comfortable mood. So I just start meditating. I know I'm awake. I'm not gonna fall back asleep. And this thing happened where I was able to just visualize everything and I could feel like this energy. And I didn't know at the time that it was common for people who meditate to kind of feel energy. I didn't know what awakening was. I didn't know what any of that kind of stuff was. So this kind of threw me for like a whole loop. I thought I was losing my mind. So I've since found all of these resources and found out that very credible people have had the same experiences where it's just kind of like love is pouring out of them or energy is pouring out of them or they're feeling energy coming through them. And at that point, I realized, okay, this is weird because this is a physical sensation. So since then, it was so visceral and so powerful and so just awesome. And I've just kind of kept adding to it and kept adding to it. I ended up making a series of self-hypnosis meditations. I'm not like trained in anything. I literally just watch YouTube videos. I'm not a scientist or anything. I don't do any of that kind of stuff. Sorry, babe. So I just decided to try this series to find out, ask the question, if that is real. Because since then, obviously, I've listened to the telepathy tapes. I've watched a whole bunch of other videos by people who kind of are on the fringe of science, but then I've seen other things from legitimate scientists starting to ask the questions, could this be real? Like, is materialism not all that there is? And upending everything that we have known about science and making me in the process feel a lot less crazy because it's starting to feel like it's actually real and not just in my head, which is how it felt for real. So, and I'm not the only one by far, not even close, right? So, in fact, I think there's different stages of the awakening process, and having that experience while you're meditating is one of those steps. So I had no idea. I was just sitting there freaked out the whole day thinking, oh God, I've gone nuts. Oh my God, I've gone nuts. And I'm trying to go out and have a good time and just was not able to. So what did I have? And I've had some other little experiences too, and the whole time, every single time, because, like I have family who work in this science field, and my mom's a social worker, like psychology is a thing. So my whole thing is check and make sure you're not going nuts, check and make sure you're not crazy. So as I have written these different meditations down, my thought process is, well, if this is real, then what else is real? And what else is possible? And I created this whole series as I realized, what I think is wrong with the world and what I think the world could use. And I was thinking of, well, basically, there's like a million different sources coming to mind at the same time. But the one that I was thinking of was, do you remember that study that they use in psychology that is what hit off the mindfulness campaign where we all started doing yoga and meditating and that was something that counselors started recommending all over the place. Like that was just a standard that became a standard practice. But the study itself, I think people have come to question it since. But the point is that there was a small window of time before the study had been canceled where they had, I guess there's Zen masters. I have to look up the study. I didn't look it up. I'm just off the cuff talking. I'm just going to say there was Zen masters. They were like people who were very good at meditating from around the world. And they all got together and came to the city where these researchers were. And I'm pretty sure it was in the United States. So they came to the city and they were doing their meditations. And for the period of time that they were doing their meditations in that city, crime rates plummeted. Like they dropped a statistically significant amount that could not be credited to anything else. And then of course the study had been canceled and they couldn't finish it and they couldn't repeat it or whatever, but it was enough information to make people really push meditation for years now, decades. It's created like a whole movement. But the thing is people point out aptly that they were people who had meditated like that for years. That was like something that they did hardcore for a long time. And we're just telling every average Joe on the street to go and do the same thing, expecting that they're going to have the same kind of outcome. Anyway, that was one of the arguments against it. That was, I one of the videos and things that I have listened to, a whole bunch of information about it. So But that was one of the things that I was thinking about, because here I am. I had meditated that morning, and I don't think I said what exactly the energy field. Like, I could feel like energy. So my meditation has a very particular feel, and I visualize everything. Like, I have a really good mind's eye. I can see stories, basically. So I imagine like what I want the world to be like, and what I want the world to be like is I want it to have healing, because I'm seeing a lot of destruction and pollution and ecosystems just being decimated for resources. So in my mind, it's like, okay, so the world needs healing, and the people need to unify, and there needs to be peace and love. All the love, just love is the answer. Always hippy dippy, the best answer. If you don't know what the answer is, love is the answer, right? So that is what I was seeing, and in my mind, I was imagining this gold light. First, I imagined roots, because I. It's kind of silly, actually, but prior to this, I had gotten these barefoot shoes because I have high arches, and the orthotics cost a shit ton. They're like $200 a pair, and they lasted like not even the whole school year, and they were just falling off my feet. I was like, this is not worth it. But any of the other shoes, they're too tight. But the barefoot shoes, yeah, I can't wear my orthotic inserts with them. Anyways, it's too much information. The point is that I would wear the barefoot shoes, and it kind of felt like I could spread out my toes, and I was thinking, oh, my feet feel like they are the roots, and the rest of me is the tree, and the roots need room to be able to spread out to hold up my body, just like the roots need room to spread out to hold up the tree. If you pinch them in, then the tree's just gonna fall over. So when I was imagining, like in my meditation, I was thinking, well, if I'm going to feel all this energy, I'm going to run out of power, because there's only so much energy I hold within me at one point. But what has all the power is the earth beneath my feet has all the power. So I thought, well, I was laying there, and I was just imagining roots growing from out of my feet, just the roots growing out of my feet into the ground. And I kind of imagined them wrapping, like these roots get really deep into the earth, wrapped around the core. The whole earth is just these deep roots, and they're pulling resources from the earth. And I was just asking the earth to just, send me more of the energy so I could, send it out. And then I kind of put my hands up, and literally it felt after like maybe a minute or two, I could feel like the energy coming in through my feet and going out through my hands. And I was imagining it like leaves, but it was gold, like the golden roots wrapped around the inside of the earth. And then these golden light just pouring out of my hands, and the light just kept going and going and going until it wrapped around the whole earth. And I saw all of these landscapes, just like scene by scene by scene, different parts of the world, as if I was flying across the surface of the planet. And then I kind of imagined myself like flying out into the stratosphere and watching the gold light just kind of engulf the whole rest of the planet. So everything is covered in this healing, peaceful, loving light, just like a glowing golden dust, just covering the whole, like inside every home, inside every building, just on every person, just filling them with all of this love and peace and healing, motivations. And then I saw all the pictures of the people uniting, and the ecosystems being restored, and the earth how it should be. And literally, it was so powerful that it felt real. I mean, literally, I felt like I was going nuts. It was so real that like within a day or two, I did it again, and it felt the same way. It was so real. I looked it up. I looked up to see if anybody, because there's May 2024, so there was all those UFO sightings going around. So I looked it up. I was like, oh my God, did anybody see this weird gold light? Like, I was trying to see if it was actually visible, because it felt that real. It wasn't. Like, no one had said anything. However, I have found out since then, upon doing research, that the gold light thing is a legitimate practice. That people imagine the gold light. You have imagined gold light is like a, I don't know, godly or something. It's like a godly protection, which is also something else. Like, I imagine protection and love and healing, so that the earth is safe, and the people, basically, we need to unify and act right. That's how I imagine the earth needs to be. So I did all that. And then I started asking myself all of these questions. So many questions as I kept going. What else? What else do you think is possible? Is telepathy possible? Well, maybe. And what do roots have? Roots are attached to mycelium. And mycelium is everywhere. Mycelium, I think, is 30% of the dirt underneath our feet. I'm sure it's different for different ecosystems, but generalized, that is like 30% of the ground under your feet is mycelium. It is literally how plants talk to each other, is through mycelium. And yes, plants talk to each other. That was another question. Can we talk to plants? Because that was something else that I saw last summer. All those people doing those silly videos where they were talking to trees, and the trees were responding, and they were like, oh, trees can understand us. And it's one of those things where you're just like, that's ridiculous, that's silly, someone's holding the tree limb off camera or something. But then at the same time, you're just like, well, what if it's possible? And you're asking the question, like you're a 19th century person trying to find out if you can really speak to the dead. Like, is it possible? Is it possible to speak to your animals and have them speak back, like telepathically? Is it possible to is it possible to see the Akashic records? Is it possible to create our own library via this mycelium network? Is it possible to become telepathic if we allow, if I were to just allowing like anybody who had the right intentions, obviously, to just kind of attach to my mycelium network? Could we communicate, like, even if we don't really know each other? Like, if you have the right vibes and you have the right intentions, you can come on in and say hi or whatever. Is that possible? Because, is it possible to that begs the question though too, because my whole thing was the protection and the healing and the power. And I noticed that as I started doing this, because it was so cool and it felt so fucking real, and I felt like I was accomplishing something, and it just felt like I didn't know if it was real, but it felt real, so I felt like I was accomplishing something. So I just kind of kept doing it all the time. But I noticed by fall, like I felt like anytime I did it, I didn't feel great anymore. Like I get worn down, and I didn't know if it was just a product of my situation. Like it could be coincidence. I moved in July, but I know also that I have been so sick. So like I had been sick 5 times since October, and it is now February. Okay, so I'm sorry, I had to change the background noise because the commercial came on. So it's now different, and it's a couple minutes later. Anyway, so I've been sick a lot, right? I ended up I haven't been sick like that since I was a little kid. So other people are like, oh, you work in a school. And I was like, yeah, I know. I work in a school and I have for years. And I haven't been sick like this since I was like 10 or, like in grade school. So it is, I had pertussis and COVID and some gastrointestinal thing that was way worse than COVID was. It was just a myriad of things that kept me in bed, like just down for like visiting the ER. I have been to urgent care 3 times and the ER twice in the past couple months. So it could be just I killed my immune system somehow, like maybe one of the antibiotics I took, and I just keep catching everything. And I have been trying to make sure that I have probiotic foods like sauerkraut and things like that to make sure to try to build my immune system back up. And I'm taking the probiotic meds and things. But still, like whenever I do this meditation, I end up feeling worn out if I do it too soon after. Like I was doing it like every day, and that was just too much. I just couldn't do it anymore. So I was thinking, well, maybe this isn't just for me. Maybe I should share it with other people. Problem is that, again, my whole kind of hang up, like everybody has their weird little mental hang ups. My thing is, I just don't want I think that, everybody kind of has that fear, don't they? Everybody has that fear. The whole, you don't want to be judged by people and have them think that you're nuts. But we're all kind of nuts. We live in this crazy fucking world. So it doesn't matter. I guess not. And I'm just asking the question, and legitimately it could turn out to be, no, this isn't possible, or maybe it's just everybody's capable of doing different things. So maybe I'm not able to do one thing, and maybe someone else is capable of doing something else. And maybe my whole thing is the energy field, but whatever. The thing is that I have taken the meditations that I have tried to do in my own mind, and I have transcribed them into writing, and I am putting them out there as a kind of test run to see if they help anybody and to get ideas on what people want me to do otherwise. It's a whole lot of just trial and error and seeing what works and seeing how to add things like should I add theta waves to the background? Should I add, obviously, like the nature sounds? I've got a creek on the TV right now with bird songs. I would like to see what else would work to be able to help people visualize, because I think that's the key, actually. I think it's the ability to calm yourself down and to be able to not necessarily visualize like you have to be able to see the apple or whatever, but you have to be able to feel it, to emotionally interact with the world around you. Because I know some people can't visualize quite so easily. It's just something I've always been able to do. But that's another question. Is that what it is, or is it not? Like, it just kind of feels like that's the right answer. So I would like everyone to be able to just participate and try it out. And I know that there's a ton of these online already, but they are telling you how to do it. And they're telling you, if you do this, you will. I'm saying, I don't fucking know. Okay, so with that, another distraction, I am actually just going to go ahead and hop off of here because I've been talking for way too fucking long, and you guys tell me what you think. Obviously, it's new. I don't know if anybody will see it or not, but we'll see, and maybe we can get some participation and some leverage behind this and see if we can try to change the world with good vibes and love and all the hippiness. I did never think of myself as a hippie, but yeah, someone told me I am, so I guess I am. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.